Hey everybody, welcome back to Shock and Schlock. I'm your host, Herschel Gillis, and today is day 20 of my 31 Days of Horror Reviews. Got another movie by Daisuke Yamanuchi today. If you remember previously, a few videos ago, he made the film Muzan E. He's also made a few notable films, including Red Room 1 and 2, and Girl Hell 1999, which is the film that I'm going to be covering today. Um, it is a Pinku exploitation, horror film. Um, it's about this young girl named Misaki, um, where the plot is really just her. It's more of like a character-based movie. So she lives at home with an abusive father, who sexually and physically abuses her and her sister. Um, and at school, she's um, has like interest in her by these two young men, um, who openly talk about sexual assault, and doing it to people at the beginning of the film. So I mean, they're obviously rough people that are interested in her. Um, she has a homeless woman that she befriends, that she takes food and everything to, and there is a person we don't know initially who stole her bike seat. Um, and we don't know why. Well, it's implied that it's because of a pervert even from the beginning. But yeah, there's not really a like typical plot line in this. Things definitely move, but there's a lot going on all at the same time. Like there's multiple storylines, and really the only connection is that they're all related to this girl Misaki. Um, it is told really well though. It's well paced, and the stories do all wrap up at the end of the film. Everything gets settled in one way or another. Um, but first and foremost, I just want to talk about that this movie is extremely bleak. Um, Unlike Muzan E, which had some dark humor in it, this is a fairly humorless film. It's very dark. It's very rough. Um, yeah, it's very bothersome. It's very graphic and in your face a lot of the time. Especially just the father character, the sexual abuse there is very nasty and like real feeling. It's definitely not shot like a typical, horror. I mean, it's shot like a film, but you know, it's very realistic. I'll say that. The violence in this film, while it's not constant, um, ranges from pretty nasty, like realistic, gnarly stuff to towards the end, almost like a cartoonishly violent action. I don't want to spoil what happens there because it's important, but yeah, it's a violent, nasty movie that's told very well. The acting is well done. Misaki, um, the actress who plays her, does a great job. Very believable, and like through her body movements and face, and you know, obviously dialogue and everything. Um, we just get like this portrayal of like this really broken down character, and with each action that happens, or like she gets closer to snapping, and when that obviously does happen, um, it really feels like, yeah, you know, that it's expected, and it makes sense. Um, there is also a lot of sexual depravity in this movie. This isn't a JV or anything, so that it's all simulated, obviously, but there is a sexual act that happens in the film that I had never seen before in a film. Um, it's very rough and perverse and gross, and it will make you uncomfortable. And anybody who's seen this movie probably knows what I'm talking about. Um, And if you haven't and you watch this film, just be prepared towards the end that there's a scene that's very nasty, for lack of a better word. Even though this was made by the same person as Muzan E, the fetish content and everything that was like sort of portrayed in that film is definitely lighter than what is in this. I'll say that. This is a much more serious film. Um, it's a good film though. It is a good film. As a sort of character portrayal, character study type movie, it's got a lot of depraved elements, but they all nothing is like so over the top that it becomes comical or anything. Um, or not really comical, but like, unrealistic. And I think that's what makes this one particularly like haunting and disturbing. Is that a lot of what happens in this is very realistic, at least looking. Some of it is not. Those parts definitely remind you, obviously you're watching a movie and everything, but those sort of do bring it down a little bit, except for one scene that I mentioned previously, the nasty part. It is something that I don't even think would ever be physically possible. So it's very unrealistic, but it's still very upsetting. This is not a film for the faint of heart, but if you are a Pinku fan or an exploitation fan and want to watch a really nasty little horror film, it's a good one. There's a lot of bootlegs that circulate online of it. There's a lot of websites that you can stream it. So it's pretty easy to view. It's not underground real. I mean, it's underground, but it's not like one of those films that you got to really search for to find. So if you want to watch it, it's fairly easy to find. It's just over an hour too, and the pacing's really good. So I mean, it's not a film that you like have to wallow in the suffering for very long because it's so short. And I would recommend it. If you're looking for something, gruesome and dark, that is really grimy feeling, this is a good one. Just be prepared that it does get pretty gross. And it definitely goes further than Muzan if you were coming off of watching that. This one may shock you a little bit. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Girl Hell 1999. Came out in 1999, by the way. So it always makes me wonder if there's like a translation issue or something. That this is actually just called Girl Hell, and then it has the year it was released, or if it was actually into, I don't know. Doesn't matter, but interesting to think about. Um, Coming back tomorrow with another review. I am honestly not sure what I'm going to be reviewing tomorrow, so it's going to be a surprise to everybody. Um, Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Keep notifications on. And as always, I've been your host, Herschel Gillis, signing off for today. Zero thoughts, zero editing, zero brain cells, and zero planning. Thanks, guys.